You know what, guys? I'm pissed. Here's the reason why I'm pissed. A few days ago, a number of Kenyan so-called influencer, socialists, comedian, and a politician went on social media and showcased, literally, emphasis on the word case, cases of money. And it really pissed me off. Why did it piss me off? At first, you would imagine that I was jealous because clearly I'm on YouTube trying to influence you, trying to inform you, but I do not have cases of money to show. My goodness, what a poor show. Kenyan social media is about showing off. Have you ever seen a video of me on holiday, let alone with a case with 13 million shillings each? Or indeed with a wad of $100 bills showing off and telling you how much better I am doing than you. Now, I'm a reasonable guy. I believe that everybody has the right to self-expression, to self-determination, and to free speech. Sonko, as far as I'm concerned, can express himself in any way he feels like, including shaving the Versace logo into his head as though he is a teenager in 1992. His choice. In fact, I have no problem with his fashion choices, even though they are altogether too tight for his way too rotund body. But that does not offend me. What offends me, and it really, really does hurt me, is a person whose intelligence will tell him to shave Versace in his head or to leak nudes of his erstwhile lovers. That kind of person has more money than you and I. Now that offends me. It offends me to high heaven. And the reason it does is not because I want to be wealthy. No. It is because, like Martin Luther King, I want to live in a society where the quality of my labor, the quantity of my labor, and the intellect I apply, plus the blood, sweat, and tears, equates to how much is in my bank account. I remember Nameless's song. The only song I think that he sang that had a philosophy. Salario, natafuta, salary. And I look at all the people I know, business people, entrepreneurs, employees, workers, and even people who work at Mjengo. And for sure, they work hard. They work very hard to provide for their families, to provide a better opportunity for their generations in this here republic we call Kenya. Or if you're cool and young, plus 254. In America, they have the American dream. And they say if you go to America and you work hard and you believe in yourself, you can be anything you want to be. And indeed, we Kenyans know very well the dream of Barack Sr., who went, married a white girl, had a child, and that child became president of those United States. From rags to riches, true story. Kenya, however, on the other hand, has a number of people, whether they tell the funniest jokes or are the biggest joke in the political scene, seem to have endless amounts of money, where you and I, scraping the bottom of the barrel, working our butts off, sweating from dawn to dusk, cannot imagine having a whimper. And we're smattering of what they have. It is sad. And it makes me angry. And it makes me angry because I'm an 80s child. When we grew up, we celebrated people. I remember celebrating friends and family who got their doctorates. I remember celebrating teachers who were promoted in their jobs. I remember how we used to pray as an entire neighborhood for a neighbor who bought the first color TV. Yes, indeed, this was a prayer-worthy issue because this was the only time they were going to watch the World Cup in true living color. Now, if you guys don't understand, well, a color television was akin to buying a car when we were young. I remember full well when my dad, a career civil servant, bought a Toyota 110. It was a KAE. And it could not even be driven until the local pastor had come to lay hands on it, anoint it, because my family had finally made it out of the dredges of the walking nation to finally a driving nation. It was a miracle. But that miracle could be accounted for. Every cent that my father had saved to make that purchase possible was none. And for many years, that was Kenya. Every person who was wealthy and everything we owned could be explained. But that's not the only thing I miss. I also miss the Kenya where ideals mattered. The Kenya where if you were corrupt, as some politicians were, society would not embrace you. Society would call you out. Society would say, look at a thief, look at a drug peddler. Today, we live in a Kenya where if this show was about me showing off which car I'm driving, which holiday I'm on, it will have more views than passing information to you. And as I was pondering about this, I went back to the year 2005. I was in university then. Now, I remember 2005 because it was the first time since the 1962-63 Lancaster Constitution was being almost overthrown. It was a constitutional moment for Kenya. And I remember it because I remember sitting down with my fellow 20, 21, 22-year-olds discussing the content of the Constitution and wondering whether we would vote for it or not. Granted, there was no Facebook. YouTube was just a fledgling idea. In fact, internet was still so expensive. There were places you would pay 5 shillings a minute to use the internet. But where we couldn't use the internet, we could use our intellect. We could use our brains. And we imagined, being in college then, that if the internet came, oh my goodness, the library would be redundant. We would not need to go through indexes and indices trying to find the right book just to find what Laplace transform is. And by the way, after 5 years of engineering, I still don't know what Laplace transform is. Still not. That is how hard information was to find. But we sat down at our free time discussing the Constitution, ugatuzi, and what it meant. That was the Kenya I knew. Today, the most influential person is best known for saying, tap, tap the screen, tap, 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 tap. That's fame. To influence Kenyans, you got to know how to dance. Not like that, that's an old move. I saw a list published the other day of Kenya's top influencers. And in the top 20, I asked myself a simple question. Out of all of them, which one has an idea, a thought, a philosophy upon which we can anchor generations of this country? The answer truly is none. The intellectual discourse in this country seems to have been surrendered to a paltry few. And by few, maybe we should count them for you. 1 is P, 2 is L, 3 is O, and 4 is Lumumba. That's the only philosopher I hear on our streets. The rest of us have decided we will discuss politics, not philosophy, not science, not sociology, politics. And then after that, intellect, IQ, and intelligence altogether sink in the toilet washbowl that is TikTok, where we spin around and around like idiots, watching people dancing on the streets as though our collective intelligence has nothing better to do than to be endlessly entertained with mindless, pointless, directionless content. And every time we see a job description for the person with 200,000 followers, they say they are content creators. By that they mean is that they stand before the cameras, make jokes, do pranks, and do silly dances upon which the masses are expected to lead this country into the future. Which future? North Korea has probably one of the populations that is suffering the most. Some say that they have to eat grass sometimes in the year because that's how hungry they get. But North Koreans are shooting their own satellites, have nuclear power, and are able to do things for themselves. I'm telling you, if the white man and the Arabian decided to ignore us Kenyans, there's nothing we can do. We will not even be able to wipe our own asses because we don't even know how the technology of toilet paper is done. That's where we are. So I'm angry. Not at Sonko. Sonko is performing at peak intellect levels. He is performing at his best intelligence. Congratulations. I am angry at us that content, that TikTok dance, that prank, that conversation you have like this, hi, how are you? So today, that conversation is what you want to listen to and want to follow. Kenya has turned 60 years. But we have the collective experience, and intelligence of a 12-year-old boy or girl whose crush has just told them they like them. We are giddy, smiling, blushing, and confused. And how do we count success? We count success by holidays. By how many times you can take a picture of yourself sipping a pina colada by the beaches of Dubai, Nyali, or if you're really lucky, Ibiza. That's success. And if you want to be really successful, grow a big bum. That gives real meaning to the term gluteus maximus. That's the maximum achievement you have. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Hey, please have a good body, work out, look amazing. Do it with plastic surgery if you must. But as a country, no. Something needs to change. Something has to change. Somebody, somewhere, has to think and really ponder whether Kenya is going down the toilet that is TikTok and Sonkorism, or some of us will rise above it all and become the philosophers, the scientists, the mathematicians that will keep the TikTokers foolishly TikToking. Come to think of it, who puts their money in boxes? In large boxes under their beds, all over their house, and on the duvet, conveniently with a model sleeping on it. Who does that? Well, you would think I'm talking about Kenyans. No, actually, people who do that go by the name of El Chapo, El Matador. In other words, Mexican drug cartel. Not Kenyans. Kenyans who carry cash, do things we know. Like we know where they get their money, right? It's legit. Like when you do a comedy tour, so you're paid in cash. That money is not transported to the bank. No, you take it to your house, millions at a time. And then you put it all over your house in a way that you can't account. Just like El Chapo Guzman. Think about it. This has not been 101. This has been Mark Bichachi Events. See you guys next week.